Hello people, welcome to this video, actually my first video, in which I'm going to cover web scraping using Rust. Let's start with a preview of the projects we're going to see. First of all, I wanted to answer a question I was asked on Reddit. Also, if you're seeing this video, at least at the moment, is because of Reddit. So thanks to all you guys for the support. The question I was asked is, why should I use Rust instead of Python or other languages? A lot of people also pointed out that at the root, what libraries like thirtyfour or Selenium do is acting as a front end for the WebDriver. So they allow us to communicate with the WebDriver, and the way they do follows a very strict specification. So we don't actually get a real performance advantage. Where we get the advantages is in working with the data we have extracted. Trivially, think about having to iterate over a large vector of data, or having to parse a string. Is in this case where we have the difference, as well as being able to make the code more performance thanks to some Rust grades and also to the async feature. In addition, Rust offers a robust and excellent error handling system, which is very important to be able to be aware of errors that might happen and handle them consciously. Also, Rust will not give us a problem in case the code grows, as it is a very scalable and flexible language. So I pose the opposite question to you. Why should I use Python instead of Rust? The only answer I can think of is the community. Python on this field is very developed and very active. Nevertheless, since the framework follows the same specification and the functions are almost identical, to develop certain functions or the scraper you're going to see and understand of how web scraping works, I read some Python code. And I actually haven't studied Python, guys, so trust me, if you're using Rust, you will have no problems. Also, if the Python community is so big on this field, of course this is not the only reason, it's because someone started to use the ecosystem, working to making it better and providing content to expand it and make certain topics more accessible to everyone. So I don't see why should I use Python or other languages instead of Rust as a Rust developer, but also as a developer who want to learn a new language. Because the Rust code is very high level, and here actually there is an example of the W3C specification of the WebDriver. And basically, for example, here you can see that we have an endpoint which corresponds to the element click, and basically we are going to find the click element in a very high level way in Rust and also in Python, as I'm going to show you. Now let's talk about the Rust ecosystem. There are actually 3 different crates. We have a scraper, which is I guess the most famous one. And as you can see, basically it allows us to scrape data using a CSS selector. As you can see, it's parsing h1 tag. But it allows us to select this element and get the content we want. Also, there is soup, which is very similar to Python beautiful soup, so if you know that, you're not going to have any problem to start scraping using Rust. Last but not for importance, we have thirtyfour, which allows us to scrape the data we want using a WebDriver. It offers us different way to search for the element we want. For example, here in this example, you can see that we can search element by an ID or for example using a CSX selector. Also, it offers us different way to interact with the website we want. For example, here you can see that we can actually send keyboard input and also click element. And that basically the function you can see here are the one you can find in this specification. In this course, we're going to use 34, which quite ironically, 34 is the atomic number of the selenium. And here, for example, you can see listed different features. For example, we actually have different way to search for the data we want, as I said. Also execute JavaScript and this one, which is very important, which allow us to wait for some properties to be verified. Also, a reason to use a crate that allow us to use a WebDriver is the fact that some websites are loaded dynamically. For example, Airbnb is going to take from a database all these house, and the website is going to be constructed every time we load it. So, for example, if we try to load this page, as you can see, the HTML is being loaded. Okay, now it's kind of slow, but yeah, it's get loaded, and yeah, as you can see, basically it's loading, executing some JavaScript or loading the website. Okay, and basically as you can see, when we actually make a request to the website using a tool, for example, like Postman or request in Rust, we are actually going to get the page with the JavaScript script to be executed. So we are not actually going to get the page we want to scrape. So that's why we want to use a browser to load the page and then start scraping. So here, for example, we can actually try to make a request to this website, which is Airbnb, using Postman. And well, just to show you, as you can see, basically we are not going to get basically the code we want. Okay, for example, if we search for, I don't know, this one stage, I guess it's the right pronunciation, we're not going to get a result. So basically it is HTML contains the JavaScript that needs to be executed and not the actual code we want to scrape. And also, if we try to do the same using Rust, let's run this code, which basically make a GET request to Airbnb, we're going to get an access denied. We don't have the permission to access the website we want. Basically because using request, we actually need cookies to access this website. A cookie basically is a piece of data sent by the browser to our computer in order, for example, to authenticate us and do other stuff. So that's why we're not actually getting our response. Okay, so if we try to use this approach of using request and then parsing basically the body of the request, we're actually going to have some problem. In this case, we're not actually getting the HTML. Okay, so what we need to do is basically generating the cookie. Postman is actually doing for us, and there is this cool feature which basically generate us the code for the request. So if we try to paste it here, actually let's run this code, and you're going to see that you're going to get the response. But still the response is not to be complete, and because the JavaScript needs to be loaded, and so we can actually scrape this data. So that's why we're using a WebDriver. All that said, let's begin our Rust scraping journey. Okay guys, before starting to download the latest chromedriver binaries, you need to go to this URL. And actually, we're going to select this table, and you need to get the chromedriver for the operating system you are using. Also, it's important that the version of chromedriver matches the version of your browser. Okay, so let's open the Airbnb website and search for the place we want. In our case, we want Chrome, and click the search button. Okay guys, now we actually want to do what we just did. So what we need to do? Let's open the chromedriver, which is the executable is here. So just execute it. And well, as you can see, it started on port 9550. So what do we actually need to do? As you can see here, I actually created a function which is initialize driver, which basically is going to connect to our WebDriver. So in our case, our WebDriver started on this port, and you can see we are connecting to this port. Also, we are choosing the capabilities, which is Chrome, and we actually have different capabilities like Firefox, Edge, Chrome, Opera, Safari. And well, in our case, we want Chrome. Then we want to maximize the window. Why do we need to maximize the windows? Well, it's useful to note that on different devices, a website loads differently. So for example, here as you can see, we are actually using Chrome on Windows. But if we, for example, try to open our website, for example, from an iPhone, as you can see, the page gets rendered in a different way, okay? So the layout is different. So the HTML code associated to the layout is going to change, okay? For example, here, if we make the window smaller, it's actually going to change again. And so the HTML. So what we actually want to do is, in our case, is scrape using the layout with the windows at maximum size. So that's why you're actually using this function which maximizes the current window. There is also the function which minimizes it. And we're actually parsing this URL, which is the Airbnb one. And we're using this library, which is great, which is URL, and that allow us to basically manipulate an URL in a more simple way and let us avoid some errors. And then we actually want to go to this website, so that's what we want to do now. So let's comment this code and let's try the code. Now we should expect the WebDriver to open Chrome and search for the link. Okay, as you can see, it opened Chrome and search for Airbnb. Nice. Now, okay, so we can actually go back. And well, so after having searched the web page, what we can see is this landing page. And now we know how to open Chrome and go to a certain link. What you want to do in our case is to emulate what we would do to search for a place. In our case is clicking this button, inserting the place, and then clicking the search button. How do we do that? First of all, let's open DevTools. Actually, how you open DevTool depends on your operating system. And in my case in Windows is the key F12. And well, what we want to do is clicking this button, which allows us to select an element in the website and see the corresponding, as you can see, HTML element in the document object model. So, okay, we actually want to get the HTML corresponding to this button, which is this one. And now to find it from our code, we want to have a way to identify this element. As I already explained, we can actually use CSX selector, which is basically a pattern that allows us to identify an element in the DOM. And so let's copy it. Okay. Okay, first of all, I want to add that, as you can see here, I added a thread.sleep. Why? Because basically when you're actually loading the page, it's taking some time, okay? And so we want the page to be fully loaded after or at least in our case, we want this part to be loaded, so that's why I choose 2 seconds. By the way, it is not the best approach, and I'm going to explain a better approach to wait for a certain situation to occur using our code. Actually, so here we have the selector. And what do we want to do? So let's uncomment this code. And I actually defined this search location function. And what is the function going to do? There is click choose place, right place, and click search button. That's basically the stuff we want to do. So click this button, search for the place, and click the search button. So let's go to the first function, which is this one. And well, we actually want, first of all, to paste this button here. Now I'm going to explain. Basically, we actually, as you can see, this function take a web driver as a parameters, okay? And the web driver is what allows us to find element. In our case, the driver offers us a find method, which allows to search for an element on the current page, as you can see. And we actually have different ways to search for this element. Here, for example, you can see we are using the CSS selector, but we actually have xspot and other methods. Okay, now I actually pasted the corresponding the CSS selector corresponding to our button. We are awaiting because it's an async function. And then we are going to click this button, okay? So after this find method return a result, that's why we're actually using the question mark operator. And element basically offer a method that is called click, so we can actually click this element. And then we're going to execute this code. So what do we need to do next? After we have clicked this code, we want to insert our location, okay? The location we want to search for. Again, let's open DevTools, click this button, and we want to get the selector corresponding to this input box. So again, let's copy the selector. Well, here, as you can see, there is this ID, which is big search query location input. An ID is a unique identifier, or at least it should be. And so by just querying for this ID, we should actually find the element. So that's why if we copy the selector, we are getting this only the ID with an hashtag in front of it. So actually, well, let's paste it again. And actually, why am I pasting this selector now? Because the website could change. For example, if I don't know, properties of the CSS or other stuff change, we expect also the selector to change. So that's why I'm doing it again. Web scraping requires some effort, and you need to keep monitoring the website if you want the scraper to work. So here we're actually finding this element, so the input corresponds to a web element. And here, as you can see at the top, I use thread.sleep basically to wait for the website to load. Here, which is the best method, and you should use this one, you're actually using the wait until method. So this method wait until a certain properties is true. For example, we want this element to be clickable, okay? And then if after it is clickable, we want to send keys. So for example, it allows us to send keyboard input. So we want to send the place. Actually, why are we waiting for this input box to be clickable? Because our scraper, as you can see, it's very fast. So if we click this button, it takes some time to load the input box, okay? And if we try to search for this element and the element is not yet rendered, we are getting an error. So that's why we are doing it. Okay, so then after inserting the place, we want to click this button. So again, let's open DevTools. Here, as you can see, we can actually find the button. Okay, we're finding a span. So because the span is near the button, we expect basically the span HTML to be near the button. So in this case, the HTML corresponding to button is this one. You just need to search near the code you find. So here, let's copy the selector, which is this one, and paste it here. Nice. Now, okay, first of all, let's change the order because it doesn't make sense. Okay. Okay, now it's nice. And well, now let's actually try our code. Let's run the code and just wait. Well, as you can see, it works correctly. Now, what do we need to do? Okay, so now let's take a look of how the web page looks like. And well, here as you can see, there are actually different pages. And if we click this button, it takes us to the next page. Actually, there are two possible approaches. As we can see, basically, the layout of all these Airbnb basically are similar, okay? Actually, the layout is the same, and what is changing, for example, is the name, the description, the price, and all this stuff. So we expect the HTML to be the same, okay? What is going to change is the text inside it. Okay, so we can actually start getting this information, or that, which is what I actually did. We could try to first of all automate the change of the page. Okay, so we want to go from the first to the last one. And actually, if we go to the last one, we can see that the button is not clickable. So let's start. First of all, in this case, what we need to do is to get the logic behind this automation is that we keep clicking this button until basically we can't click it anymore. So let's copy the selector corresponding to this button. It's not actually a button, but an A tag, but it doesn't matter. So let's copy it. And well, in our case, uncomment this code. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want, first of all, to scroll down to the page. And here again, I add a thread sleep to make the page load correctly. Then, well, let's not, don't calculate this code now. Then we actually have a loop, so we want to keep searching for the button until it's clickable. So here I'm actually using a if let. So if the result returned by driver.find with our a tag, if the elements is returned correctly, we want to check if the button is clickable. If it's clickable, we can extract the data. If it's not, let's break the code. And actually, here I added, so basically we are keep iterating the code until we can find this element, and if this element is clickable, we can actually scrape the data. But there is a case, which is the last in the last page, in which we can't actually click the button, okay? So basically, in this case, you are not going to execute this branch, okay? So that's why I added an else after tz flat, because this is the case of the last page in which we want to extract this data, okay? If we don't add this else, we are basically we are going to miss the information of the last page. So basically that's the logic, okay? Okay, now I just commented the code to show you that our code is working. So now we expect our WebDriver to open Chrome, search for Airbnb and for Rome, and then keep changing the page. Well, as you can see, the scraper stopped working and it worked correctly. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I actually realized that I didn't show you this function, which basically deals with changing the page. So basically this function takes two parameters, the driver to execute the method and also the next page button. And basically this function works by clicking the button. So after we click the button, the page is going to change, and that's why I added sleep, because we want the page to load. And then basically we want, as I explained, we want to driver to execute the JavaScript function which scroll the page down, and then sleep again and basically execute this loop again. In this case, since that we clicked the button, basically the driver is going to find this CSX selector on the new page. Okay guys, so as I said, we actually managed to keep changing the page until we can, so until we reach the last page. So what we want to do now? Before starting, I want to point it out basically that all these elements are put basically in a grid and have the same layout, okay? So we want to find basically a pattern that allows us to find all these elements at once. How can we do that? First of all, for example, select the first element. Here we have an A tag, and what we want to do is to look near this HTML tag and find the description and all the elements we want. So in our case, we need to go down, but before doing that, I want to point it out, as I said, that all these elements are in a grid. And as you can see here, we can see a repetition of code, okay? So this div basically represent all the elements we want to scrape, okay? And there is actually a function that is called findAll that basically allows us to find all the elements which share the same CSS selector, okay? So for showing you that, let's copy this selector. Okay, let's create a new file. And let's copy the second one, okay? As you're going to see, as you can see, basically the selector is the same, but the last part is not the same, okay? Basically here we have this nth child, which basically mean that in the case the nth child is 1, we want the first div, and in the case of the second one, the second. So what can we do to make it more general? Basically, we can delete this nth child, okay? So if we try to copy that and search in the HTML, we're going to get only the first one. If we remove the nth child, as you can see, we are getting all of these, okay, guys? So basically, we can use the function findAll to find all these elements and start from this element to scrape. So we are not going to basically keep copying this selector. We can find all the elements that share this selector and then start searching from this element, okay? I'm going to show you that in a moment. Okay, so let's go back to our element, and actually we want to find the description and all the field we want. Let's go down and search for it. As you can see here, we actually got the element we want, so let's keep searching for it. And well, we actually found that. Here we got the title, here the description, here the host, and all the data we want. So what we want to do? I basically from what basically I told us that all these elements have the same layout, okay? So we expect this particular div to be the same also for this. I'm going to show you that one moment. We expect it to basically be the same. So let's actually search for it. As you can see here, the class is this one, and here the class is basically this one, which is the same, guys. So what can we actually do is start basically scraping, searching for this particular element, and then start extracting our data, okay? So let's copy the selector, and I want to show you that basically you can make it general as we did before. So let's copy the first one and the second one. It's this one. Copy selector. Okay. And well, what's going to change, as I said, is this div, okay? Because here is all the same, guys. What you want to do in this case is remove the nth child and copy this selector. So let's copy it and let's see if it's working. Yeah, we actually got basically all the data we want for each element. So let's add it to our code. Basically, there is actually a function for that. So we want, which is this one, okay, get house element. Here, basically, I'm going to use the function find all, okay, which basically search for all elements on the current page that match the specified selector, okay. So let's paste it. Basically, it works like the find function. The main difference is that, as you can see, it returns a vector, okay. So as we expect, the vector contains all the web elements we want. So what do we need to do now? Okay, so basically, as you can see from the code, here I'm actually getting this element. For each of these elements, I'm doing a for loop. I want to extract the data starting from this element, okay. So just to show you the code and then explaining it. As you can see, here the selector are very short, okay, because we are actually going not to start, not basically to copy, I don't know, not to copy the whole selector, but we actually want to copy only the selector that we care about. Okay, so basically using find all, we actually find all these this selector, okay? So we can start from this selector, and what we want to do in this case is copy the d with the nth child true. So actually we want to basically, just to show you, here I created a struct with the details we want, title, description, host, availability, price, and the star, okay? I created a function from, which basically take as a parameter an house element, which is a web element, and from this element we want to find the data we want, okay? So actually we want to get the title, so let's scrape it. What do we need to do? Here we have the title, okay guys? In this case we are in the second, but it doesn't matter as I showed you. What we want to do here is copying the selector, okay? As you can see, there is a strange behavior, okay? Actually, this div has an ID, a unique identifier, which is this title, okay? But we can't actually know all the basically unique identifier of all of these element, okay? We actually can't. It's very difficult. But what we can do instead is using a CSX selector to do what we want, okay? In our case, basically, we can say that we are scraping, we are using the selector starting from this element, okay? So we can consider this element as the root, okay? What can we do using the CSS selector to find the first div element? We can use the nth child as I explained you. Okay, so what you want to do in this case is, I actually already did it, is searching for div nth child. And basically, guys, the approach is the same for all these elements, okay? I'm not going to show you that. Here, just to show you, in the get price, I don't know why I did that, but I used an XPath, which is basically a different pattern to search for our element. Okay, so let's actually show that. Oh shit. Oh gosh. Okay, what we want. Okay, let's go up. What we want is the price. Okay. As you can see, we are searching for the div at the 5th position. Okay. Then, as you can see here, it's the 5th position. Then we can actually go down and search for the element we want. Okay, in this case we want the price. So actually let's copy the selector. And well, if we try to copy the selector, it's going to be very long. Okay, and actually using this approach is more difficult to know where to start. Okay, actually I remember that that our element started from there, but it's pretty difficult to remember. Okay, so CSS XPath, in contrast with CSS selector, use only index to find element. Okay, not the class, so not the class corresponding to the element. So we can copy the XPath, as you can see, and here we basically we counted, and we know that we want to search for the div at the 5th position, and then keep searching for the span which correspond to our element. So let's copy this selector and let's paste it. It's the same, but it doesn't matter. And well, now our web scraper should be working. And here, guys, basically, just to explain very fast, I get all the element of this grid. Then you're going to use this function, which basically starting from this selector is going to search for the field we want, and then I'm using the CSV library to write it to a CSV file. So let's actually try the code. Well, the scraper actually just finished, so we expect the last element of the CS file to be this one. Let's check it out. And well, actually this is one. We can actually open in the preview, but yeah, it doesn't matter. And so actually to test it more, let's see, I don't know, the first element. And this is one. And yeah, as you can see, it corresponds. Okay guys, we actually managed to scrape Airbnb, and now it's turn to bypass Cloudflare. So the website in which we're going to bypass Cloudflare is this one, made by Cloudflare developer to test their anti-bot protection system. So what we want to do is, first of all, let's open this link on a normal browser. And well, as you can see, it passed because actually we are using a legit Chrome. But if we try to access this website or to bypass this protection system using chromedriver, we're going to get detected. Okay, so we actually need to take some step to bypass it. First of all, as you can see, we're actually using this library, which is called undetected chromedriver. I actually contributed to it, so I can explain you how does it work. Basically, this library is taking the chromedriver executable and is going to patch it, because as you can see, this is the algorithm. Basically, we are going to search for this string in this binary, which can be downloaded from this website, as I showed you. And well, if we try to search for this string, which is cdc underscore, basically we get a result, and after these strings there are this one, okay? And actually we can find all these strings in after every cdc underscore occurrence, okay? And because we actually download this chromedriver from this website, basically the people who want to create the anti-bot system can check if this string is present in your chromedriver, and then if it's present, they're going to detect that you're using a chromedriver, so you're automating a browser, and obviously they don't want you to do that. So by checking if this string, which is the same for every version of Chrome, they can just take this string of every chromedriver new release and detect if you're using chromedriver. So what you want to do is basically patching this binary and replacing the string with a random char, so we can actually look like normal people. Also, it's actually doing more than that, setting some settings of Chrome. For example, here, as you can see, setting the user agent. What is a user agent? Basically, a user agent is a way for the server to identify who we are. Or in this case, we are impersonating a computer who has this user agent, which looks very legit. So actually, for a more advanced bypass, we can actually take some legit user agent, select one random user agent of them, and every time we run a new chromedriver session, we actually can change the user agent. So just to let you know that is possible. Okay, and well, so we actually need to use so basically when you use this function, is going to patch the chromedriver, so as you're going to see, and then it's going to execute to run and open Chrome with the settings I explained set. So okay, the website is this one, as I show you. Let's try to execute it. Okay, you actually need to know that okay, not this one. Actually, I already written the code. In this case, we're not going to click the button, so that I can explain you how we scrape the data and how I wrote this bypass. So here, basically, it's going to patch this chromedriver and remove as you can see, the strings that we don't want, or better, replace the string. And well, it actually worked. And as you can see, we are not yet verified, okay, guys? This HTML of the checkbox basically is going to be inside another document, okay, guys? Here you can see that there is a document. So basically, an HTML inside an HTML document. This HTML document basically is called an iframe. So basically, an iframe is a way to insert a document inside an HTML document, and we actually have a function that let us enter inside this iframe. Okay, so as you can see, actually the function is this one, driver enter frame, and so the first frame on the page is index 0, and that's why we are actually entering this iframe, so that we can find this button, waiting for the button to be clickable, wait 2 seconds, and then clicking the button. Okay, before doing that, basically, I wanted to show how does this bypass work, okay? Because we need to follow this function, this order, in order not to be detected, okay? So we want to execute this script, which is windows.open, and we want this parameter to be blank, and I'm going to show you what it's doing. So let's search for it on Google. And well, as you basically the open methods open a new browser windows or a new tab. Actually, we're passing this parameter we are actually opening a new window or a tab, okay? So when you're going to execute this code, we're going to open a new tab. Then, after waiting 3 seconds, we want, basically there are going to be 2 windows, okay? The first one, which, okay, let me show you. There is going to be this one, which is the first one, and then the second one, which is the one we opened, okay? What we want to do in our case is using this function which is called windows, which basically get all the Windows handles for the current session. We're going to get the first Windows, which is the first one basically created normally by chromedriver. We're going to get an handle to this window, and we are going to switch back to this window and closing that. After that, we are going to have only one Windows, which is the last one we opened using this function. So we're actually going to, after we close the first window, we're actually going to this window. And then we can actually start scrape because we are in the website we want. We can enter the frame, search for the ID, which is challenge stage, and then after the button is clickable. So basically when the spinner on the button is loading, we can actually click that. So we wait until this button is clickable, wait 2 seconds, and we're going to click the button. So let me show you the bypass. Okay, let's wait. Okay, as you can see, it's going to close the first window. And after 2 seconds that is clickable, we're going to click it. So yeah, we actually bypass Cloudflare. Okay guys, nice. Now that we actually bypass Cloudflare, we can downloading book from Anna's archive. So let's open this website. Okay, well that's the website. Let's take a look. Here we can actually search for some book by title, author, and other methods. In this case, we're going to search for Questa Aqua by David Foster Wallace, my favorite book writer. So we actually found different results, and okay, let's start scraping. As you can see, we can first of all check the URL of this website. To understand this, you need to understand how URL works. In short, basically, here we have an as archive, which is the root, and a path, which is search, and then we're going to query for the book name, okay? So instead of spending time writing the string we want here, we can actually construct a query. So we can, as I'm going to show, copy this link. Then we want to, as I created the method generate URL, we want to first of all parse this URL, and then we're going to set a query. So in this case, you're actually adding this Q, in this case stands for query, and actually we're using format, so you're going to get the book name here. And in this case, we can just basically generate this URL and use the WebDriver to go there. So let's show it. Okay, and as you can see, it worked correctly. So let's close that and let's go ahead. So let's go back here. Okay, now we have all these book, okay? And actually, in my case, I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, I'm going to download the first one. But let's look at how we can download, get all the info, like the language, the file type, the size, and the name. How can we do that? First of all, as you can see, basically there are like a lot of books. And well, what we want to do in this case is opening DevTools in this way. And I just want to show you one thing, okay guys? So let's look at as you probably expect, all these book are going to share the same layout, so we can use the find all function. Anyway, as you can see, basically this div with this class age 125 are going to are basically the layout of our books. Okay, as you can see here, we actually have this H125 with JS scroll hidden, okay? And what is going to happen when we scroll down the page? As you can see, the website is going to be updated, okay? So they are loaded when we scroll the page, guys. So, as you probably guessed, if you follow the video, what you want to do is, as I explained, scroll down to the page in order to load all the website. So that in this case, we can actually search for this selector, okay? At the moment, the selector is this one, and what you actually want to do is not getting the div with at the position 5, but we want it to be more general. So if we search for it, we actually get 64 result. And well, as you can see, we're actually finding all this stuff. So let's add it to the code. And well, let's open this function that I wrote. So we want to scroll down, and then we want to get the books as a vector, okay? Why as a vector? Because we're going to get all these div guys that are containing obviously all the information we want, okay? So, okay, let's open this function. Well, it's already, actually in my case, I added also an a tag, guys. And well, I added it because inside this a tag, basically, there are the information we want, okay? So it's more useful to start scraping from this. And also we are going to need this ring, so instead of scraping for these, we can actually starting scraping from a, so that in the future, when you're going to search for this element, we are going to start from this tag. And in this way, our scraper is going to be more performant because it needs to search for less information. Okay, so that's the actual selector. And after that, basically, I want to extract the info, so that there is another function, which is this one. Well, how does that work? Okay, guys, in this case, we want, okay, let's go up. Let's go to the first one. And, okay, let's open this A. What we want is actually this div, okay, guys. In this div, the text is going to contain all the information we want. So what we're going to do is actually getting the book name, okay? How do we get the book name? Well, we can actually get it from there, but for some reason I decided to write in this way, so let's follow it. And well, so what we want to do in this case is copy this selector, of course. And well, as you remember, we already opened this a tag, so we can just start copying from there. And well, actually, let's paste it. And well, okay, we're done with name. Then we want to here I created a function getBookInfo. In fact, to extract all the information we want, we need to get the text of this div, and then we're going to parse this string. Okay, so we're going to extract the field we want, like the language, the file size, the extension, and the name. So actually, let's look at this function. Let's copy the selector, which is this one. Okay, actually we want to copy only this part. And well, let's paste it here. Okay, in this case, what we want is the text. So we're actually using after we get this element, we're going to using the text function to get the text of this div. So after that, let's go back. Okay, now it is where you are going to get the string corresponding to this div, and we can actually start parsing it. Okay, basically, as you can see, just to show you very fast how the code work. Basically, the string is this one. As you can see, all the fields we want to extract are separated by a comma. So we're going to use the split function in order to split this string in multiple substrings separated by this comma. And so in the first case, here we don't care about the language, but basically what we want to do is get the first element of the vector, and if it's not present, we're going to unwrap with this string. If it's not, we're going to trim, so we're going to remove the leading and trailing white space, and we're going to also again split for this bracket, and actually, so we're going to extract the language in this way. Let's not spend time on the algorithm. Then we actually want to get the second element, which is going to be the extension. Actually, we're going to unwrap again. So if it's present, we're going to get PDF in this case, otherwise an empty string. And the same stuff for the size and also for the file name. Okay, there are some cases, not in this book, but basically there are books in which for some reason there was like another comma, so I need to reconstruct basically the string because this algorithm was bugged, so actually it didn't work in a case in which for example here there was a comma. In this case we actually didn't get the missing part of the file name, so that's why I added this code, and then we're actually done with the string parsing. Okay, what we want to do next is actually get the book link. So as I explained, we want to get this link, so that's why I created this function. And basically now our scraping is going to start searching for the element we want, starting from this A tag. So you're actually there, so that's why we're actually using this attribute. So basically there is this function which gets the specified attribute. Okay, so in this case basically, as you can see, there is an attribute which is href, which contains the link we want. So we are using this function to get the text inside the attribute, as you can see. Well, there is not an example, but yeah, so we're going to get the link. Okay, and as you can see, the string is not finished, so that's why I'm actually appending it to base URL. So we're going to have this string and then append to it the link. That's also why we're using this URL crate, in order to simplify our work and avoid some errors. So that's why we are doing that. And okay, after that, so I can show you how what we actually did. So let's comment this code, and in this case I'm going to demonstrate you that we are getting the current information. Okay guys, I actually forgot to tell you that I created this struct which contains the field we want. In our case is name, extension, and download link. So that's why here you're seeing that we're going to push this element in this vector, which is a vector of type bookinfo. Okay guys, and just to show you that basically using this function we are getting all the information we want. Let's run this code, which is basically going to print every book information we got. So let's run this code. Well, and as you can see, basically it prints all the information we want. Okay, so the parsing the string worked correctly. As you can see here, we actually have the name, the extension, which is a PDF, and the download link. Let's, for example, see the last one, which is this one. And okay, let's reload the page. And as you can see, they are matching, so it's right. I don't know why it closed chromedriver, but yeah. Okay, after that, basically, but I just show you that using this vector, we can create everything we want. For example, we can actually use return for. Okay, guys, and as I show you, we actually got all the information we want. In my case, I'm not going, for example, to create a system that is going to show you all the title we can find and choose which one to download. For example, a cool project could be, I don't know, creating a scraper and maybe create a Telegram bot with button that basically show you all the books and let you choose the one you want to download, or maybe a TUI application in which you can choose the book you want to download. In this case, just to make the code shorter, what I want to do is get the first book of this website. So we're going to get this element and we're working with that. But by just having a vector with this information, you can create everything you want. So let's open this. So of course, we actually basically this chosen book is going to contain the link. So let's suppose that we'll open this page, and what you want to do, of course, is in this case is clicking this external link, and there is actually going to be a cloudflare protection, and after that we can actually click in this download button and get the book. What we want to do now here is getting this MD5 link. So we actually by basically clicking this book, we are in this page, and what we want to do now is getting this link. So let's copy the selector very fast, which is this one. And well, in this case, we want to paste the selector here, and then getting, of course, the value corresponding to the href attribute. And then we want to append it to the base URL. So of course we can use this link, but we can append it to Anna's archive. Okay, so if you try to click this one, as you can see, it's going to be appended. And now we are on Cloudflare. Okay, so we need to bypass Cloudflare. I actually already did that. So after we get this link, we're going to bypass Cloudflare, and then we're going to download the file. So let's uncomment this code to show that what we wrote worked correctly. Now it's going to bypass Cloudflare and getting us download the book. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is downloading the book. How can we do that? Basically, again, the same, let's open again DevTool from DevTool. And in this case, we want to get this link and to download that. I'm going to show you how we can do that. Of course, we need again to get the selector. So, okay, so now that we have the selector, we can actually, okay, in this case I used XPath, it doesn't matter. Let's change it to CSS. And well, now that we actually have the selector, we can again getting the value corresponding to the href attribute. And in this case, we're going to close the driver, okay, because to download the file, we don't need it anymore. So we have actually the download link, which is a string, and I'm going to show you how we can download the file. So for downloading the file, we're going to use the request create, which is like the more famous create to send request. And basically, so we are going to send a GET request to this download link. And here I created a progress bar, okay? And to specify the size of the progress bar, what we want to do is getting the content length of the response, okay? Basically, the content length is an header of the response, which basically tell the size of the response, okay? So in this case, the size of the response is going to be the size of the file. So we are creating a progress bar with the size of the file. Actually, we don't care about the stuff, which is for the layout of the progress bar. We're going to create a file name with the info we extracted, so bookinfo name and bookinfo.extension. And here we're actually using this function bytestream. And well, what this function is doing is converting basically the response into a stream of bytes, so we can actually get information when the next file is updated, okay? Okay, and as you can see, basically stream.next is going to, of course, if we await it, is going to return us a result with bytes, which are actually the part of the file we want. And by using OR, we can actually get the content we want. We could have just used onWrap or other methods in this case I choose to use OR. And well, then you're going, of course, to write in the buffer, so in our file, the chunk we just downloaded. And then we're actually going to update the progress bar, okay? So we can actually get the length of the chunk, so the length of all these bytes, and update our progress bar. So now the code is fully working, and let's show it, and let's see if it worked correctly. Okay, now we are going to bypass Cloudflare, and then you're going to get link and close the chromedriver. Well, actually, Another archive is very slow at downloading a file, but as you can see, it's going to download the file. So let's wait for it to be finished. Okay, good, it's actually finished. Let's see the file. And well, it actually downloaded the file, so that's nice, guys. Congratulations, guys, we have come to the end of this adventure, actually my first video on YouTube. Of course, there will be more. To be updated, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. The next one will probably be on video scraping, basically downloading videos from different sites, a topic that you don't hear much about, even in other languages, but it's very interesting. Also, I have many projects in mind, of course using Rust, like game hacking with Rust. Also, I want to upload video about malware analysis or reverse engineering. Actually, it could be cool reversing Rust binaries. And of course, other cool stuff. Also, let me know if there are any improvements I could make to the channel, or just if you have any question. See you in the next video, guys.